Welcome to the Conscious Classroom podcast, where we're exploring tools and perspectives that support educators and anyone who works with teens to create more conscious, supportive, and enriching learning environments. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein, and I'll be sharing transformative insights and easy-to-implement classroom supports that are all drawn from mindful awareness and systems thinking. The themes we'll discuss are designed to improve your own joy and fulfillment in your work and increase your impact on the world we share. Let's get on with this next episode. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this month's Conscious Classroom, which is going to be different than previous months. I wanted to talk a lot about creativity and unleash creativity, and we're in the middle of such unusual times that I thought it would be best to really work with the times that we're in and give you an opportunity as well to take any questions that you might have and give a chance to be together and look at what our responsibilities are and best perspective would be as educators in these unusual times. Mindfulness practice, contextual thinking practice are all tools to help us deal with uncertain times. And usually we like to think of uncertain times as those times that we can really understand and predict. And there's just like a little bit of uncertainty. We know that life is unpredictable, and we expect that. But we hope that that uncertainty is going to be manageable within the range of what we feel we can predict. So in the times that we're living in right now, life as we've known it has certainly changed pretty much overnight. And we're all trying to find our way. We're all trying to find our way through uncertainty. We're trying to find our way through a moment where we're called on to exhibit the best of human nature, the highest of our capacities, and the noblest of our spirit. And at the same time, this type of uncertainty and the threat, there's no other word really, of illness, it causes us to instinctually retreat and withdraw. So how do we navigate these uncertain times? Now, this webinar is set up for educators. So all of us are either working with mindfulness, social emotional tools, trauma-informed practices, systems thinking, or we're classroom teachers where even if we're not in the classrooms right now with our students are on our minds and our hearts. Where are they? What are they doing? Are they safe? Are they using their time? Are they managing? And are they able to find steadiness during this time? And what can we do to better provide them with stability? So all these questions are on our mind. And I felt like this is a good forum to work with those questions, work with our own personal questions, and of course our concerns for family and friends and loved ones at this time. To begin with, let's remember why we are called to practice mindfulness, or why we're called to teach. What is it that drew each one of us to want to share those tools that enable growth and strength and maturity and wisdom? Maybe we took to mindfulness ourselves because we wanted to meditate. Maybe we took to mindfulness or meditation because We wanted to discover a better way to be, a nobler way to move about in the world. So now is the time to call on that. And maybe we're educators because we really want to impart the best that we've learned to the next generation. So I invite you all to just reflect for a moment on why you personally were drawn to teach and or to meditate. Just share a couple words of what is it that drew you to practice and to teach. Yeah, just share a couple of words of what was your personal inspiration. In times of challenge, we want to look to our most exalted inspiration, that which has drawn us to want to grow and deepen ourselves. So I know for me, I wanted insight, wisdom, and purpose. That's what started me. And my teaching came from sharing what I've learned. So I invite you all to add your comments. Why do you teach? Why do you learn? Why do you practice mindfulness? So that call to better ourselves, to be more than what we currently are. And I'm going to keep this for now to the tools of mindful reflection, the art of contemplation. That call, that inner call, or that call of looking around us and seeing that things are not working that well, is a call that invites us to look deeply, to begin to become more aware of our surroundings, to be able to contextualize the information that's coming at us, so that we're starting to expand our frame of reference. And as we expand our frame of reference, we're able to take in more of what's around us. And when we're able to take in more of what's around us, we're also able to then begin to order that information in unusual ways. When we think about the flow state and creativity, that flow state and creativity really is a sense of having vision 360 degrees. It's a sense of being unbelievably alert and aware and taking everything in while only paying attention to what's most important. So in a flow state, we're not overwhelmed by the constant incoming of information. Our frame of reference, our context is so vast, and our intuition has heightened. We are then able to discern what's most important. In these times of challenge right now, we do need to have that ability to call on the insight that we've discovered when we've been in a flow state, in that creative state. We need to call on our own muscle memory of that type of heightened alertness and deep relaxation. The sense of purpose and priority, as well as that sense of being able to let go of that which is not important. So athletes who experience that flow state, musicians who experience that creative flow state, they're able to listen for the right move that comes next, that perfect response at the edge of their capacity, and to let go of all the other possibilities. So right now in the situation that we're in, we have so much information coming in. How do we possibly navigate a way forward? How do we possibly figure out what our right next step is? How do we possibly figure out how to guide if we're working in schools or with young people, to guide the young people in our lives, especially if we no longer have ways to communicate with them easily? There's so much to figure out on a practical level that the details, the sheer amount of possibility and uncertainty and the need to build the tracks as we go becomes overwhelming. The solution to that overwhelm is not to try to grab all the information and hold on to it, to try to clutch at every piece that we possibly can and put it in order. The posture that's going to serve us best is one where we're deeply steady in ourselves and moving through the world and through our present with the best that we experience in those flow states. That sense of eyes, vision that's 360, an ability to be at ease and trusting of our own insight, wisdom, and human capacity. Now is the time for us to call on the deepest of what we've realized and learned, the best of our motivations for teaching or practicing. Now is the time where, as a human culture, we are presented with challenge. And when we are able to embrace the reality of that challenge, because it is in front of us, and trust our own deeper wisdom and higher aspirations, we can begin to see way beyond the immediate and plan as individuals and as a human family on coming through this with better ways to care for all of us. We have to see way far ahead, and we have to call on our deepest aspirations and highest possibilities. That's what's going to help us move through these times. You know, we often wonder, what will we do if deeply challenged? Well, as a human family, it's here. And so allowing ourselves to remember and recall our own those moments that pulled the best out of us is what's going to give us those channels to that strength. I called our organization Inner Strength, and we talk about inner strength for outer stability. And that inner strength has to do with what the topic of this month's webinar was going to be: flow and creativity, and that access to those more subtle aspects of our human nature. We all have a reason to be here, and we all have what calls us. And the more we can put our attention there, the more unexpected resources we'll find within to take the right next step, and to know what to do in this moment. I'd like to do a short practice. So in this short practice, we can use both the body and the breath. This is a practice that is being used more frequently in some of the trauma-sensitive mindfulness. We're going to focus on the breath, but we're going to allow our hands to flow in and out with the inhalation and the exhalation. So flowing out with the inhalation, coming close together with the exhalation, allowing that movement of your hands to mimic your breath and to come into rhythm. And that will give you a different sense of grounding. This is a practice that you can do anytime you're feeling like it's really hard to settle down. It's a practice that you can do with your clients and your teens in the classroom or virtually. And it's an easy one to follow. So let's start by coming into our best meditative posture, noticing the chair beneath us, noticing our feet on the floor, noticing how gravity steadily holds us to the earth, and how our spine rises up. So feeling that balance and that openness and that free flow. Feeling that stability of the groundedness beneath us. And now as you turn your attention to the breath, lift your hands so that they're comfortable. Maybe they're close to your lap, or maybe they're a little higher. And on the inhalation, allow yourself to breathe your hands out. And on the exhalation, allow your hands to come towards each other. Being gentle with the inhalation and the exhalation. Noticing how the body follows the hands. You feel that your breath is expanding you and allowing you to come close to yourself. Inhaling, expanding your awareness, exhaling, and embracing, coming close to yourself. Let your breath be natural and easy. And let's take one or two more breaths. Allow your hands to come to rest on your knees or the desk in front of you. And take a scan of how it feels, what you're noticing. Using these mindfulness tools to allow ourselves to find ways to expand without pushing the outer boundaries. We don't need to create discomfort for ourselves at this time. We need to create stability and love. We need to be able to care for ourselves, even as we're called on to care for our students, care for our families, care for those in our communities. So that type of practice where there's a gentle expansion, but not too far. We're not stretching ourselves. We're not forcing ourselves to open. This is the type of quiet attention and openness that we want to bring to our work now with ourselves, our work with our students, in our work with our communities as we face this time of uncertainty. The other aspect of inner strength that I felt would be important to talk about at this time, and this is something that you can do at home, and this is something if you have capacity to do online with your students, you want to find a way to create a reflection of gratitude. One of the things that you can do at home, because most everyone I know is now at home figuring out how to work from home with their spouses who are also working from home, or their children who are also doing schoolwork from home, or in many situations, you all of a sudden are navigating schedules that used to stay apart, and that can be quite challenging. So you want to find ways to create appreciation, especially when we may find that our nerves are a little frayed, or that worry comes over us, and at the very moment where somebody is needing something from us, our coworkers, our bosses, our students. So a gratitude jar of some form or other is a really good tool right now. So you can get a big pot or a vase or a flower bowl, or have a virtual bulletin board. They're easy to create on a Google Doc. And if you're at home, physically have Post-its, if you have some around that are different colors, if you have a stack of colored paper, something that's bright, something that's happy. And every time you think of something that you appreciate about those around you, about your life, about yourself, write it down and put it in that jar. And get your students to, on their Google Classroom, to drop a comment in to a virtual jar, just by typing and adding into a sheet, unless you have a fancier app that lets you do that. When you're feeling stressed, when your students are feeling stressed, when your children are feeling stressed, when your housemate's feeling stressed, reach into that jar, pull out one of those appreciation notes, and you'll see there'll be something coming through that which is authentic, which is the authentic love of life, the authentic appreciation of ourselves, the authentic passion for what's possible, the authentic hope for triumph over adversity, the authentic aspiration for a better world, the authentic desire, heartfelt desire to make deep social changes now that will serve us in a way that we can't imagine, and that will really create a better world. And the authentic appreciation for the color of your hand towel, or the logo of your new sanitizer, or the brewery that just converted their operations to making disinfectant, or to the daffodils that are finally blooming and not knowing anything about it, or the squirrel that just dug up your only one blooming daffodil and just looked at you very cocky. All of those little things that just make us experience the irrepressible joy of life in a very small way. When you remember them, acknowledge, put them in a jar. When you have forgotten them, reach into that jar and pull them out. This is an instruction you can give to all of your students. They can bring that to their families. We need concrete, tactile ways to support ourselves and support those around us. And it's amazing how attention, quality of attention, is what brings us to be able to notice the good things around us. That's what our contemplative practice is for. It's to notice, create space, be aware. And I would argue that our contemplative practice is not just to notice everything, but it's to bias those things that are wholesome and supportive. We don't need to open ourselves up to the harshness of life. What we need is to allow ourselves to be nourished and rejuvenated by that which is good. In times of crisis, that's what sustains us. You know, as the great Viktor Frankl said, in Man's Search for Meaning, that which enables those to triumph in adversity where others do not is that they have purpose. They keep their eyes high on their ideals. It's not repression or denial or avoidance. We need to fuel ourselves, and as we fuel ourselves, we can fuel those we teach and take care of around us. So gratitude jar doesn't really have anything to do with the topic that I had set out for this call, for creativity and flow state. But it is a creative act. And I invite you all also to find small ways to be creative. I mean, one of the things that I think is a little bit overwhelming right now is everyone's trying to come up and share supports. And I know that my inbox is flooded with suggestions and online tools and offers for this or that. And it's adding even more to my to-do list. So I'm not trying to do that for you, but I am inviting you to find one small creative thing that you'd like to do right now and do it. And it can be a small thing like building your gratitude jar and finding little scraps of colored paper and old corners of wrapping paper that you've kept in a box and that you can bring out and have ready for that. Or it can be any hobby or practice, but creativity is something that nourishes the soul. And it doesn't have to be your next #1 album if you're a closet musician, which I'm definitely not. And it doesn't have to be your next 500-page novel that you've always wanted to write. Something small. Encourage your students and your children to do one small creative thing each day. And maybe it's a new dance move. Maybe it's singing in the bathtub. Maybe it's folding the dish towels that now you're washing much more frequently than you used to in a creative way. But noticing, experiencing, making tactile that sense of creativity, of building, of beauty, of attention, of attentiveness, of care. That also helps nourish ourselves during these times. It's easy for students to do. It's easy for us to do. We need things that we feel like we can start and accomplish and that bring beauty and goodness right now. We all know that stress releases cortisol, and cortisol dampens our immune system. During times of stress, the more relief and joy we can bring ourselves, the more we're supporting our own well-being and all of those around us. I would like to close with a love and kindness practice for ourselves. And I'd like to build that love and kindness practice with wishes that you would want to send. So if you type in 1 or 2 wishes in the chat, I will use those for our closing practice. Great. So keep them coming. When we teach love and kindness with our students, we always invite the students to share their wishes. And then in leading the practice, we pull from their wishes. All right. So you can keep typing them in as you think of them. So let's allow ourselves to let go of our phones for a few minutes, our to-do list, our concerns about the past and about the future, and allow ourselves to take just a few moments to access goodness and to nourish our own selves so that we can be lights to those around us, so that we can provide love at times of fear. And let's picture those we care about, those very near and dear to us, and also those whom we're responsible for, our students, our clients, our staff. And let's extend this wish. May everyone be safe. May you all have enough food. May you find access to your passion. And may you find opportunity in the midst of adversity. And really picture everyone. Send them that wish. And now let's picture ourselves allowing us to care for ourselves in this moment, to let go of the need for care to come from anyone else, and to let go for a moment of our need to care for others, extending fullness of attention to ourselves, extending fullness of heart to ourselves. And send yourself this wish. May I be safe and healthy and courageous. May I be surrounded by love and kindness. May I have enough food, and may those around me be safe. May I see the calling for nobility and find opportunity, purpose, and vision. And send yourself any additional wishes for yourself. And finally, let's extend care to all those first responders, and you can picture the professions, everyone from the supply chain planners to the doctors and nurses. May you all know you're deeply appreciated. May you all have wisdom to act with safety and with foresight. May you all be safe and healthy. And may you all be surrounded by love and kindness. And as we bring this meditation to a close, let's also appreciate the time that we all took to be together and to create a community of educators and practitioners who are supporting each other so that all of our gifts and wisdom and insight and heart can be of benefit to ourselves, to those we love, and to all those in our circles. So we can close the meditation now. Thank you so much, and appreciate seeing you all, and very nice to be together. And I will stay in touch. If you have any questions or any ways that I can support you in your work with students, please reach out. Feel free to email me. And to be continued, stay well, and keep your sights on the long term and on really our greatest hopes for humanity. And that's going to get all of us through.
Thank you for listening to The Conscious Classroom with me, your host, Amy Edelstein. For more information and links, check out the show notes on innerstrengthfoundation.net. And if you enjoy the podcast, leave us a review or subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. See you next time.